Right, folks, back again. Day 2, road to 1 million. Now, yesterday I had built out with the help of Claude. Bearing in mind, Claude I'd seen is the best for coding. Now, it wrote me 619 lines of code, and it's excellent because in my mind, Claude was always the more emotional and humanistic LLM, and I saw ChatGPT as the more technical LLM. However, with the introduction of Sonnet 4.6, I am not disappointed in the slightest. It's brilliant. So I've got myself. Uh, it's a spreadsheet, but essentially it tracks everything. So profit and loss, EO impact, which you'll come to understand what I mean by that. Many different metrics, right? All under the spreadsheet, essentially. Now, not only that, yesterday I also built out a business plan, not to completion, but certainly to a good high level that I'm pretty happy with at this point. Bear in mind, I've done both them things in one day. So, without further ado, let's open them up, and I'm going to show you. I don't want to display too much, but I also want you to feel part of the journey. So let's open up this document. So, is this at the first slide? Yes, it is dashboard. So you've got your dashboard here. I'm not gonna, I may blur out all the numbers. Hold on, you can't see here, can you? Right, let's put this here. So, what we've got, I'll come into branding and marketing and and mission. You'll see that in the. Do you know what? Let's start with the business plan. So, because then you get an idea of what you're actually seeing in the more technical spreadsheet, right? So, business plan, EO refreshments, and that stands for equitable opportunities. I like keeping EO short. You see how other firms, for example, Twitter moved to X. EO has that futuristic, forward-looking feel to it, and refreshments is just it's a word that can mean a very narrow thing. It can just be a drink or whatever, or it can be something that has a broader meaning in that it revitalizes you, it replenishes you. So, EO refreshments we're going with, and equitable opportunities. You'll come to see it's a social enterprise, not a social enterprise, a project whereby I'm looking to be involved with the community, and I'm not chasing profits. Obviously, profits are great, but I'm not profit maxing. That's not the aim of this. So we've got my contents page here, like any old business plan, executive summary, business focus, market research, product strategy, corporate structure, capital structure and financing, revenue model and margins, the go-to market and commercial strategy, location strategy, MRO framework, marketing and brand, legal and compliance, team and payroll, key risks and mitigations, and financial plan. And then obviously the appendix right at the end, 30 pages. So we've got a blank page there, obviously we'll take that out. Confidentiality agreement, of course. As with any business, you start doing well and people are going to enter the market. You come up with an idea and people are going to want to enter the market. So even though I have limited people who I'm going to actually share this with, it's still great to have something that has your back, essentially. So we've got that executive summary, which is yet to be done. I've put it in that sort of bronzy colour because I'm going to edit that. We've got objectives, goal statement. So EO refreshments. This is important because at this stage you don't know what it is that I'm actually planning to do. Hence, if you're watching this video at this point when I've upload, then yeah, you're in for a ride. So if you're looking back on this, you'll see how true to these values, these goal statements I actually am. And again, just for my benefit, that's useful for me to come and check that I'm actually in line with what I've said I'm going to do. So purpose, keep communities reinvigorated through refreshments, but more importantly, to create equitable opportunities. To build the UK's most trusted and community embedded refreshment network where economic participation is genuinely accessible to all. Now, I watched a video online about how capitalism is not failing but working exactly as it should be. But as a result, that leads to austerity, it leads to mental health crises, it leads to burnout, it leads to selling your time for undervalued labour, so that the company is getting more productivity out of you than what you are getting in return. And you'll know from the news that salaries are not keeping up with inflation. How we as a generation have 90% less purchasing power. This is what I've heard than our parents. You'll know all these things. So in watching that capitalist video, what was the I can't remember the lass's name, but it was on YouTube, had about 400k views. It was brilliant because it was aired by Channel 4, and it's very rare that they'll have anti-capitalists on a mainstream channel, which generally the whole media network is owned by capital entities, right? So interesting. So the reason why economic participation I've taken from her interview, which is yes, we have a democracy, but imagine having democracies in our capitalist structures. So Germany, for example, I know in football, they're is it 50%? A large majority, or maybe not a majority, but a large percentage of the clubs, the football clubs, or if you're in America, soccer, the soccer clubs are owned by the fans. A percentage of it is, which is brilliant, and that's the way I want to run this business, whereby people, the communities have a say in the directions and activities of the brand. So that's the vision, where economic participation is accessible to all. The mission, to deploy premium drinks machines in communities across the north, which will expand, generate exceptional returns for franchisees from all backgrounds, create meaningful entry-level roles through our auditor program, and return a proportion of profit to communities that drive our volume. So we give back. I feel like the younger generation, my generation, and just checking the time, I'm on 7.5 minutes. These videos are only be 10 minutes, right? So yeah, our generation, we're much more socially conscious, so much more involved in ESG, and we care about that a lot more. So moving on, keys to success: needs sufficient footfall, because at the end of the day, how does it work? It's drinks machines. That is all it is. Simple, right? But the medium is the drinks machine of the message. Okay, the medium of the message, which is larger community impact. Uh, the marketing flywheel, you can see there how that works. Pause the video if you need to have a quick read. And integrity of community engagement. So it's all good saying what I'm saying, but talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. Now, I have contacts who I'm going to use as advisory. I'm using my experience and my contacts from previous employment, as well as family and friends, to aid me, because I have commercial acumen from in people I know. I have financial acumen, people who are accountants, that people I know. I have some people who fix machines as a living. I have legal people on my side. I have executive and business people who've contributed to my growth. So all them people are beneficial to this project, and so it's good to keep them in hand. So we've got operation cycle, payment, aims, and objectives. Then market research. So look at the market opportunity, look at client research, evidence of customer demand, customer profiling, and then a SWOT analysis. So that's, if you don't know, is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Product strategy, which is nice and simple. What is our product? And of course, important in a business plan is product market fit. I'm aware of that. So we'll lean heavy on that. You can see the range. I'm going health oriented, possibly delving into the Asian inspired market, but I'm leaning health conscious because we are, again, if I go back to the younger generations, Gen Z, millennials, we are much more inclined to look after ourselves. You'll see, I saw recently people in the 30s who were celebrities back in the day, and people in the 30s now, and I even made a point of it to a family member that we look much better than what our previous people of the same age did. So we've got corporate structure, which I have an advisor for. I've actually worked in a company which mirrors onto, it's the same structure of a company I worked for 4 years, but just with a different asset, and therefore I know the structure well. Hence, anyone can take this idea, but they won't be able to understand the behind the scenes, let's say, as much as I am. So we've got capital structure and financing, and again, that plays into what I've just said. Revenue model and margins. So we operate on a direct machines, direct assets, and franchise machines. Go-to market, got a strategy for that, and commercial strategy. Location is location. That is everything, right? Especially for a business like this, because as I mentioned, the footfall is everything. MRO framework, as I said, I've got a person who helps with that. There's different points of contact. You've got the manufacturer, then I've got a retainer engineer that I'm going to put in place, and also I'd probably learn myself. I think it's great to have a founder who can dig in, who's not afraid to get his hands dirty. And again, I look at my experience when I was a site manager in construction. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I'll get involved. It's great to have the knowledge of what your contractors are doing, so that at any point you can step in, and also you know how well of a job someone's doing. So we've got marketing and brand. I'm gonna skim over that because we'll come to that in later videos. USP, and you'll see these are in brown. I've taken them from a template I found that was free to share, free to use. Legal and compliance, again, that's team role. Sorry, team and payroll. So it's just me at the start. Key risks and mitigations, financial plan. Got cash flow forecast. So this is it's a great business in terms of I don't put much equity in, and it's all backed by debt financing, asset financing, and the returns are very lucrative. So I'm going to leave it at that, I should say, for today. I was going to put the 2 things that I did yesterday that were produced yesterday in one video, but I'm bearing in mind I want to keep these around 10 minutes and 12 minutes 25. I'm going to keep it under 12 minutes 30. So, right, okay, goodbye.